What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I just got over here a few minutes ago. We're in the race car trailer. We're working on race car. See, we've got this one-piece front end. That thing is super nice. You just pull that whole thing off. It gives you easy access to everything in front of the motor. So what am I in here working on today? The race car up Saturday night at Harold's. We went under there to strap the car down. I noticed there was an alcohol leak, and so I was like, oh no, where's this coming from? That could have been one of the reasons why it spun. And sure enough, we knew some come out of the cap of the fuel cell, but the fuel pump is also leaking. Those that have been on the channel for a while, we were in Bradenton 2 years ago now at Cletus's race, and we were doing the Christmas tree, and we had a leak on the fuel pump. We fixed it. We had a seal, put the seal in it, hadn't had any more issues. Now, this thing's been hard to start for a couple years now, and this year it's been extremely hard to start. Basically, it gets no cranking fuel pressure. And so when it has no cranking fuel pressure, it's hard to start. It's a brake clean, baby. With the pump leaking, I decided I'd reach out on Facebook and see if anybody had any used Enderly 990 or 110 pumps. There was a few people that responded. I appreciate it. They had some different pumps that were a little bit out of my price range. I needed a budget fuel pump. So Tyson had one they bought last year as a 990. He went to a little bit larger size one, a billet one with the dual spurs. So he hooked me up. So after work yesterday, I drove down to his place and picked up the pump. Let me show you what it is, what we got, and stick it on real fast. It shouldn't take but a few minutes to get this thing pushed on. Usually pretty easy. With the front end on there, it's easy access. In fact, I've already got the old one off. Let me show you what we got. Don't forget to go to turbojohnracing.com, grab yourself some merchandise. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to go over the runs that we did, show you some slow motion of it launching, and show you the changes that we done to make the car work better for the most part. All right, guys. Well, this is the pump I just got off the car, and this is an old Enderly 110. And something that I just noticed is this thing has a number 660 stamped on it somewhere, and so I don't know exactly what that means. This one flows, I think, 9 or 12 gallons per minute. But one of the things that I noticed, this thing has, like, it's freewheels in there. There's no resistance. And the other way you can tell this is an old one is this flange is mounted, it's made on, it's actually cast into the pump. Now, I ain't mad at that pump. That pump has been good. That is the first Enderly belt drive that I got. I started off with an Aeromotive and had pretty good luck with that, but that only flowed, I think, 5.5 gallons per minute, which we oversped it and got it a little faster. But this is the Enderly 990. Now, you can see the casting when you feel it. It feels much different, too. I mean, it's a little smoother, and I guess, I don't know, it's probably just the finish. It's not terribly smoother, but it is different. But the biggest thing is this thing right here comes off this adjustable collar. It gives you more adjustment. Now, this is called the Lollipop. This thing just bolts on. It's got 4 bolts, and you can see I had to drill a bunch of extra holes to get this exactly where I wanted it. The good thing about this collar is you slide the collar on, and basically you can just adjust it, crank down on these, and it gets you exactly where you want. Now, these are number 12 inlets on both of these. And what's funny is this is a mechanical injection pump, and that's a number 8 that is here, but we upsize it to a number 10 to go. But it's amazing how much volume this thing can flow. But this one is the 990, so it is the Enderly 990. See it stamped right there? So this one actually flows 15 gallons per minute. It's gonna be a lot. We might be in trouble. We might struggle with those billet atomizer injectors with my little motor. Those guys down there in Florida, they hit me up a couple years ago with James and Dr. Tunamall, and they were struggling because they had a good fuel pump that had a lot of pressure at idle. So we may be in for a treat here trying to get this to work. But the biggest thing is you know, we're gonna have more fuel pump. We got a better fuel pump. Hopefully it starts good. running. We didn't ever have any issues once we actually got it running. So this lollipop, basically it'll unbolt here, these 4 bolts, and this piece will actually bolt on to here and to the front. And then you see this one right here, I can turn it. Now it's got WD-40 in it, but it is much more difficult to turn. And that's even with the cap off of it here. I know, you might say it's pulling a suction, and it is, but it's still much easier or much more difficult to turn than this one over here. That one is very, 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 very easy. So very excited. The Enderley pumps also, the other thing you got to make sure is that these are clocked correctly. These things, you take these bolts out of the back, and then you basically rotate this to the other side, and it can be reverse rotation. So this one, so I got up here, up there, and there's some instructions to show you which way. So that one's on the bottom, and then same thing, that one's over on the bottom right side. So it is clocked the correct way. So let's just take this off real fast. It won't take but a minute to get this on there and try to crank the car. All right, guys, and I can see one of the differences right here. This is, when you look at the shaft here, this piece, let's see how much room there is here versus this one. That's one of the differences. You can see the casting, if you look at it. Oh, that copper is right there. Might need to investigate that a little bit further. Maybe it's copper spray from years ago, but it seems to be kind of, well, it's kind of stuck. So maybe it's okay. Anyway, sidetrack. But you can see how this boss right here is real deep, and then this one is not. So you can tell this is probably got a bigger rotor assembly, I would imagine. All right, so this is the lollipop. This is really neat the way they designed this. They both have hex heads, but you can see I had to drill this one in a bunch of different locations because several times I remounted this, and you know, you don't have many options. I mean, you do, you've got 6 options here, but you had to get them to line up, and they wouldn't. So now this right here is going to make it drastically more difficult, or this is going to make it drastically easier to get lined up. And you see the seal is down there. Down there is the seal, and we actually had silicone on it too, trying to lamp it through. The interesting thing too is they have 2 different sizes, and you can see this one is bigger, the actual shaft. So I have 2 extra seals for this one. So we might send this one off and get it freshened up, get it rebuilt. I heard the Enderley can rebuild it and put new sleeves in them to get them back to where they're proper. So we may do that and have it for a spare or sell it. But it's always good to have a spare. As the story goes, the story of my life, nothing ever fits. These are not quite lined up, but if you notice, these holes are much further out than these. So that is interesting. And now looking back at my pump that I just dropped WD-40 all over me. Looking back at the pump that I did, you can see the holes that I drilled, the ones that are really close in there to fit. So this lollipop may be for a different pump. It may be for like an Enderley 80 possibly, or I don't know what it's for. I have no idea, but it doesn't work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this to Brian's. We're gonna go work on Randy's tonight anyway. So I'll mark this, drill it. I've got the bolts, and we'll tap this one for this. Or I could order another lollipop and wait, a little while to get it. But this one can be modified to work. That's the only difference. When I slide it on there, it fits perfect. It snaps down in there with the register like it needs to. It's almost just like it's for, maybe the lollipop's just a little bit different. It's for a different type of pump. So that's gonna work out for tomorrow. We'll get that drilled tonight. Tomorrow we'll stick it on the car, crank the car up, see how it fires up with more fuel pressure. So that'll be interesting. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap it up for looking at this. Let me show you what we did on the race car when we're at the track this past weekend at Harold's. All right, guys, this is the first pass off the trailer. We did end up taking the weight out of the car, and it come up a little higher in the back than what I thought it was going to, but that wasn't too big of an issue. But combined with the more anti-squat, shock settings were on 8 rebound and 12 compression on the rear, 11.5 pounds of air pressure. It separated pretty fast and kind of tire shook. Went on 132 60 foot. It also tried to leave on 8 psi. That's a little extreme for the conditions. So we made a few changes. Come back up here for our second pass. First thing is we put extra air in the tires. We went up to 12 pounds of air pressure. We tightened rebound, so the extension got a little bit tighter, and compression I actually loosened up. The reason I did that, I tightened extension to make it separate a little bit slower, but by loosening compression, I was trying to make it so that if the track had any bumps, it wouldn't basketball the tire. Unfortunately, I think that was the wrong move. I think it was just the track was just a little too sticky for what we were trying to do with the setup. I probably should have left compression tighter. So for our third pass, we decided we were going to roll up there real fast, got the car turned around real quick. It was starting to get a little dewy. It wasn't terrible, but you could definitely tell that it was starting to get there. But all I did, I wanted to go faster to the 60 foot. I added 2 degrees of time into the launch retard, and it really did not like it. Now, it could have been that I got on in my own methanol, a little bit of dew, and an additional power. It still went at 132 60 foot, but that's not going to cut it. All right, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. We'll be out hopefully this weekend making some more test passes, seeing if we can get down the track faster and more efficient. We got some big races coming up. We got a lot of work to do. All right, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. Go to turbojohnracing.com. Grab yourself some merchandise. Thanks.